nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Minutes from last meeting?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, that's everybody present. Vicky is absent. About the, about the bills.
Warrants over 500 are not including payroll items. A&Z Engineers for $32,945.25. This Bank of New York for $100,000. That was just a correction. Chemical Services for $3,574.20. CNI Fiber for $977.65. Colonial Life $1,060. Eland Financial Services for $585.47. EJ Prescott for $29,334. Force Technology for $2,599.86. H Company for $528. Heckley Automotive for $940.56. Indiana Michigan Power $6,414.55. Whole lot of payrolls. Local government services for $1,042.50. Payroll. Task for $950, Verizon Wireless $597.61, Wex Bank for $1,154.64, WM Corp for $11,853.27.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. That's it, everybody? Everybody present? Need a bottle of water.
That's fine.
Alright. Brian, you wanna update everybody on the leak we had this weekend, just so that council knows?
Oh, we had a leak on Bull Rapids Sunday, about 8 o'clock in the morning. We were having it wrapped up by about, I think we were done with it about by 1, so. So there's a hole in the road down there with some stones, but probably close to about 80,000 gallons of water we lost over there, so. Yeah. It was a good sized leak. The main, I never seen that kind of break before, so it was a pretty nasty looking break. So, but it wasn't a hole, it was a line that I could just pulled in two. So, so yeah, it was.
How come we're having so many of those leaks?
This time of year, usually as soon as you get cold weather, you may get some breaks, and as soon as the weather starts to thaw, we'll get some more. The ground shifting. Like this one here, the pipe just snapped. So
Are they getting old pipes or something?
those are definitely due to old pipe. Yeah, we had that discussion earlier at the other meeting that one probably should be added to our list to be replaced in the future, because it's got a lot of breaks on Bull Rapids Road. Yeah. Bull Rapids and then out here on the Highway 101 heading out to Love's, both those lines got a lot of repair clamps on them. So Main Street used to have a bunch of them down through there. Main Street had like 20 of them in a 2-block section at one point in time. So
You replaced all them.
those are all new water main down there now. So yeah, we used to have
You always get
every couple of weeks we used to have one down on Main Street.
Yeah.
So we've had 3, I think, this year, maybe 4 so far this year, which is not horrible. But usually in the summertime you don't see them that often. They're more, other than apparently on the car show day.
Yeah.
But usually it's right around the winter time, during the winter time, we get a lot of them, yeah. But everything's back up and running now, so we should be good. Decorations are coming down tomorrow, barring not a bunch of fog. So we'll get the,
Foggy this morning.
it was foggy this morning.
Yeah, it was. Tomorrow will be the nicest day, or Wednesday will be the nicest.
Wednesday's
day.
supposed to be real nice too, yeah.
Wednesday's gonna rain though.
I got a project for them on Wednesday, they're gonna be cleaning some valve boxes, so I can put the rest of the transducers down.
Anything else?
So
Alright, thanks Ryan. Any questions for Ryan? You have anything for council, Brad?
I emailed out the incidents for January. If you have any questions on anything, let me know.
Can you go over each one?
All 160 of them.
Alright. Okay, at the Board of Works meeting, we approved first of all, we did bid openings for the Community Crossings project last Tuesday. Wayne Asphalt was the lowest bid, and we approved, and signed a notice to proceed for the Community Crossings for this year to Wayne Asphalt. And that was for, and remember, this is the, well, this year it's 80-20 for cities our size, and, I don't have the paper with the winning bid amount. It was like $726,000.
765, I think.
765, yeah, so,
engineers estimate 1.2.
yeah. Yeah, the good news is, our estimate was 1.2 million, and, the, bid came through at 765,000, so, really good, so. Alright. And under new business, we have that water ordinance.
Yep, so that was the one that, to fix the summer sprinkler, debacle. That it never got put in there, so if you look, I attach it, ordinance 26-1438. Under section C, that's what's changed. The old section C was removed and amended and restated in full to read as follows, and then Kevin got this the best. Me and him talked, and he got it the best he could to try to get it where, businesses wouldn't try to take advantage of it or stuff like that. So you'll see stuff in there, what it's for, irrigation of lawns, single family homes, planting beds, just to make sure. And at the bottom there, try to get it to read as the approved sprinkler policy at the city. So that way, if we have to change something in there later on, we're not dead set to something on here.
So somebody wanna move to read?
I'd move to read title by title only, the ordinance.
Second.
All those in favor to read by title only, raise your hand. Alright, that's everybody.
Okay.
Everybody present anyway.
Ordinance 26-1438, City of Woodburn, Indiana, an ordinance amending ordinance number 25-1436 and other matters connected therewith.
Making motion to approve the reading. Second.
Dean moved, John seconded, any comment? All those in favor? Alright. Alright, we can either move it on to the next meeting or suspend the rules either way.
Maybe you should, do you know what he's talking about?
I do.
Yeah, 2 readings for an ordinance, okay.
So if we wanna just do it by the book, do we have to move something? Do we have to put a motion on the table to just schedule it for the next time, or we just say?
You have to move to suspend the rules and approve at the same meeting that it's introduced. Or you can
No,
just,
I'm happy to just wait,
okay, that's fine, yep.
so nothing else needs moved.
So that'll move on to the next meeting then. So, yeah. All right. Okay, we have some guests here from East Central Fire. How you doing?
He's talking to you. Robert's the talker. He's from Northwest.
Go ahead, Chief. Go ahead.
Now, like I said, we had our territory board meeting, and John reached out to us and wanted to know if we'd come out and give you guys a little update. Robert spoke at our meeting, just kind of trying to get our way out and trying to keeping people informed with what's going on, and so that questions can be answered and I'll let everybody know where we're heading.
And you're referring to moving from territory to
Yep.
part of the Allen County District.
Yep, Robert will speak to,
Sorry, come over here so I can see you.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, so basically what we're seeing across Allen County is that we still have opportunities to do some improvements of where we weren't able to do it before, because we either, some areas and territories and districts were restrained by trying to not overtax the constituents. That's our biggest number one thing. The one thing that's going on in Allen County is that we're all sharing the burden of all these calls. So if the incident happens in the East Central area, it depletes all of East Central's resources. And then we start funneling resources from other districts then to file in to try to help back them up. And I'm sure Chief Linker will testify that many times we have multiple runs back to back to back. So our services are getting taxed by the amount of calls that we're getting, and we aren't getting supplemental backup like what we could be getting because not everyone has the same level of staffing throughout. So if a fire happens, and I just use Huntertown as an example because that's my backyard, if we have a fire in Huntertown, it's not uncommon for us to get fire trucks from Grable or even Harlan, or even in some cases, we all met up in Leo Cedarville, and we had trucks from Woodburn and New Haven in Leo Cedarville for that. So we're seeing this where we all have to work together on this. The interesting thing is, though, is what your constituents are paying for a tax rate here, someone else is paying a completely different tax rate elsewhere. And there's net assessed value in the county that can help us spread out to everybody so the impact for the taxpayers isn't as high. So one advantage of going to the countywide approach for countywide districts is that we can bring more money into the pot, which can help reduce the cost of some taxes for our constituents. Just to give a rough idea, as we get ready to move towards year number 1, we can see taxes anywhere from on every $100 in net assessed value, we can see 25 to 29 cents would be a tax rate versus what's the current tax rate now that you guys have?
well, I said we were higher and then we were,
Able to come down with?
yeah, we actually came down a little bit.
Yeah.
But then the folks out here definitely came up.
Well, we're
New
hoping.
Haven came down, we went up a little bit.
Yeah. The hopes is to start to equalize that out across everywhere, so we're all working together on the same playing field. It's also understanding that we need to up our staffing. You know, currently in some places in the county, we've got only 4 people in an engine house, and they're jumping between the ambulance and the fire truck and vice versa. So if an ambulance run comes in, then there's only 2 people for a fire truck, and if there's a fire run, then there's no one for the ambulance. The idea would be is to staff the ambulance and the fire truck to the number of staffing that we needed to have, so it's a guaranteed response from both of those pieces of apparatus coming out of a fire station. So trying to share that everywhere across Allen County. One of the big things that we're also working on, a couple other people that helped do the presentation with me is Chief Burning and our union president, Jeremy Bush. They're actually in Monroeville right now because Monroeville is starting to look at this and wanting to get on board with this and trying to work towards that. So we're working with the Monroeville Fire and EMS and along with Hoagland to explain what this is all gonna look like as we start to come together. We had a meeting, was that 2 weeks ago? Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago we had with the elected officials in Monroe, Jackson, and Madison Township and the town of Monroeville. And they were listening to everything we had to say, and they realized that the tax burden wasn't gonna be as high as what they originally thought it was going to be, and where it's gonna be down at. And they were like, well, that's more doable if that means if we can get trucks out the door, because on a constant basis, they struggle with volunteers, because as we all know, volunteerism has gone down drastically over the years compared to where it was. So it's just trying to supplement what's already out there and trying to improve it across to everywhere. What it means for everyone here is that we want to bolster the response that's here. We want to make sure that there's more people and manpower available to make sure that the trucks are covered. So we're covering not only the first response, but the second and third responses that sometimes follow up behind that. In my district alone, up in the Huntertown northwest corner, in 2024, there was 111 calls of service that we could not answer because we were so busy on other calls. And so that meant our closest ambulances or fire trucks were coming from another 15 to 20 minutes away, because everything that was in the immediate area was taken up. So we're just trying to make sure that we stop that gap and try to eliminate that as much as possible. So it's one of the big reasons of why we're trying to aim towards this. A lot of people thought it was the county commissioners that were pushing it, but it's really the local fire chiefs and the district boards and the territory boards that are looking at this and just saying, hey, what can we do? And also trying to make sure that we're putting the priority of our firefighters top notch along with that, but also trying to be as fiscally responsible as we possibly can. And there are parts of Allen County that can help other parts of Allen County out with that net assessed value, and I think that's something that we really need to make sure we're looking at. Since we're making the runs together, we might as well be taxing the same along with that and making sure everyone's getting the same service. So it's part of the big reasons why we're there. And I think that's pretty much what I kind of presented the other day, and I appreciate you asking me to come out, and I'd love to field any questions any of you might have.
How will it be governed? I mean, will we still have individual boards, or?
So right now, as the state law states, is that everyone has a seat at the table. So it'd essentially be a board about the size of 35 to 40 people.
Oh, wow.
What we're working on is getting some legislation, and it's in the works right now to get some legislation to where it turns down to like a 9-member board. So we'd still have representation from each corner of the county that would come into that. So everyone would still have a voice. So obviously there'd be someone from the southeast area, a couple people from southeast, a couple people from southwest, northeast and northwest that would join into that board. That'd be per district laws appointed by the county commissioner. So community of Woodburn could come up and say, hey, we want so-and-so to sit on that board, so that way we can have a voice, that way we're heard on that. So it's the makeup is how we're trying to do it right now, is to kind of focus on that 9-member board. Because a fire district is its own complete taxing entity. It's not the county, and it's not a township. It is its own individual taxing entity, so we would have to be governed in that manner. County council would have the ultimate say over our budgets. So they ultimately would say, yeah, that's too high or that's too low, just like any other council members have over budgets. But that was basically how it flows through that. One of the unique things that we see within Allen County is we're talking 547 square miles, and there's a lot of small communities within that 547 square miles that needs to have an equal voice and be heard. The citizens of Monroeville, even though the population is low and the call volume may be low, they still have a right to be heard in some form or fashion. So we're looking at trying to have sub-boards out there that can speak for that community, that can go to the representatives that would represent the southeast, so that way that voice can be heard more efficiently, and any concerns can be brought up to that. So it's not just someone sitting in a giant crowd raising their hand. We have more direct contact moving into it. But the DLGF, their mind has been kind of blown by this. This is the first of its kind in the state of Indiana for a size that we're looking at. And the DLGF is basically telling us, let us know how it works, and then we'll write it into law. Which, Mayor, anyone who works with the DLGF, that's scary as sin, right?
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the turnover that the DLGF has recently had. But the person we're working with now is the attorney for the DLGF. She's been in that position for quite a while, and she's been really helping drive that force forward. So, and then we also counterbalance that with the State Board of Accounts to make sure that we're representing everything properly. So it's been a lot of work, but hopefully we're covering all those bases. But we definitely know that all the communities need to be heard. It's a matter of how to get that done, and so we're still trying to work that out. So I explained this last week at the East Central Territory meeting, that if anyone wants to be a part of that, wants to help figure out how to mastermind that, we welcome it, because it's definitely something that's going to be a joint effort. We can't just turn a blind eye to an idea. We need to listen to them all, because it could really matter for us. So that's a great question, and I probably went way too far, and I apologize.
No, you're fine. I think that's what everybody wants to know,
Yeah.
As far as staffing, will they focus staffing on where people live, or will it be just wherever?
So, no, I mean, you gotta use data, right? You
Yeah.
gotta see where the call volume is, where the population is, where our hot areas are, our cold areas and whatnot. What is established within Allen County shows it's tried and true, right? I mean, East Central says, we knew that we needed X here minimally to get the job done here, but it's still just meeting a minimum. We need to get past a minimum and we need to get more to what a normal level would be. The same thing goes for areas down by the airport for Southwest Fire District or Boyd Township and Arcola. We know what's needed for those communities, so we're just gonna add to what's there. So it's gonna be data driven, and it's making sure that it's not just the good old boys club of, hey, you know, so-and-so's been working harder, we're gonna give them more. No, we need to look at the numbers. We have to be able to look at the taxpayer and say, here's why, and here's the hardened facts of why we did what we did. So it can't just be driven by, well, it seemed like a great idea, so we definitely need to make sure we're being smart about it.
We still have a volunteer corps?
Yeah, that's the hopes. And as long as I have any kind of position with any kind of being a chief, my main goal is to always make sure we have volunteers. It's a very fiscally sound model, but volunteerism is down, right? So, you know, a prime example would be is if you look at the communities of Monroeville and Hoagland, right? There's probably ways that we could efficiently operate in that southeast quadrant by maybe centralizing something that's with the full-time staff, but still have volunteers in the outlying areas that can help support that. So the last thing we want to do is run any kind of volunteers out. We want to make sure that, that's my alarm there. We want to make sure that volunteers are still a part of that because there's a lot of pride within the community that volunteers have, and we do not want to ignore that. That's a huge thing that we want to make sure that we keep driving forward. So I know myself and several other chiefs that are along with me on that. There's like, as long as we have people that want to come and do it, we want to make sure that we get an opportunity for them to do that. So yeah, definitely don't want to run that out. And we know that there's been things in the past throughout all parts of the county that maybe weren't done quite the right way. So we are given a second chance to try to make that right and try to build off of that and move forward with it. So
I just met with our volunteer officers last night and, you know, they had some of those same questions and I told them some of the same things that Robert did is that, you know, these volunteer groups kind of need to do the same thing that the county is doing. There is a ton of collaboration going on by all the units coming together and trying to figure out what the future looks like. And I told them, I said, you know, especially on our side of the county, when you look at the amount of non-hydrant areas that we have on this side of the county, there will always be a need for tankers on this side of the county. And if that volunteer group continues to find a way that they can assist in that, I think they will always have a seat at that table. But I think they need to come together as groups, because like right now, like everything we're doing, every one of those groups is their own entity, has their own 501c, has their own rules and regs, and they're gonna have to start meeting and becoming one organization so that, you know, that someday that executive fire chief is only dealing with one organization and not, you know, all the different entities having their own.
Right.
So, you know, they seem, you know, positive about some of those things. You know, their hardest part is they're struggling, right? Like everybody is struggling to get people to do, you know, Brad came on, would you come on in the early 90s? I came on in the late 90s. And in the old days, you know, you kind of had to become a volunteer, get your feet wet, and then eventually that's how you got hired to be a full-timer. And then, you know, even communities like Woodburn, who relied solely on those volunteers, the problem is once you give up that volunteerism and put full-time staff, it changes the dynamics and it starts to cut into the pie of the workload. And now those full-timers are now making those runs on a daily basis, and that need starts to get cut into. And that's the hard part. What we're dealing with is as a county is as you add employees, it definitely cuts into that need. But then when you start talking about needing 25 to 30 guys on a structure fire and maybe more out in the county, now that starts to really affect, like Robert was talking about in the early stages. I mean, when we catch a fire out in this area, it really affects multiple different areas within the county because of now units are starting to backfill and moving resources towards this side. So, I mean, it's the uniqueness of this county is that we are a wheel and everybody's connected. And when one side of the county gets affected, we all kind of have to shift and take that burden on for them also. So it'll like I said, it'll be interesting to see if that group's able to come together and try to find ways for the future.
I will say as a chief, I will always try to support and bolster that relationship to the best of our abilities, because I started as a volunteer 29 years ago. 17 years old, fresh out of high school, was just anxious to do something, and I still remember what that was like serving my community, and I know there's still individuals that do that. Unfortunately, the group is getting smaller and smaller, and the generation of people who step up and do that kind of stuff are not there as much anymore. And everyone's seeing that. Church groups are seeing that. PTOs are seeing that. Everything, but we got to keep that positive drive moving forward. There is a need, and we just got to figure out how that works into the network. So,
had a question there. Oh yeah, all the assets, like all the trucks and the buildings and all that kind of stuff. How does that work?
yeah, so it's a great question. So
Sorry for all the questions.
No, please, I welcome it, because I went to one meeting and someone asked a question and I was like, holy cow, we never thought about that.
Yeah.
Sorry to use profanity like that. We never thought about that specific question, and it was great to hear it. Anyways, so one unique thing that we're doing here, since we have the opportunity with the territory that's already in existence, is that we can build a function essentially that everyone comes under the umbrella of the territory in some form or fashion. You can have multiple districts within a territory. And then when everything starts to dissolve, it can be written into the interlocal agreements that all assets get transitioned over into the newly formed district. So it doesn't bypass any laws or anything like that. Actually, it makes it more of a seamless thing. Other things that go along with that is if there's existing debt, we can't move debt from one place to another place, but we can write interlocal agreements to say, hey, the newly formed district will step up and take care of that debt. So one example would be the city of New Haven right now has the new ladder truck for East Central. We have an opportunity to say, hey, the new district will take on paying that. It'll stay in New Haven's name because they were providing unit, but we will take on and make sure that the payments are made for that fire truck continuously all the way through. Same's going on with buildings. We have a building up on Tonkville Road that we just recently built a new fire station. And I call it the house payment. The house payment on that is like $370,000 a year. And with our CUME fund, we can afford that. So what we have done is we have gone into an agreement with Perry Township to say, hey, we'll continue to pay that because Perry Township, you don't have the taxing abilities to pay that. No one knows the difference. The banks are all on board with it and they're okay with it. We get letters from all the boards that are involved to say, hey, we're going to do this, and the interlocal passes through with that. And so State Board of Accounts has been on board with that. The DLGF has as well. So we've been finding some new avenues to be able to do things and kind of be creative with that. But on a side note with that, to say that everyone in Indiana is looking at us would be an understatement. Just today I had a meeting with Wells County. Wells County's looking at fire districting. I had a meeting last month with Steuben County. I had another one with Whitley County. And I also went down to Indianapolis and Bargersville and talked with the fire chief down there. So there's a lot of people waiting for Allen County to finish this and see how it goes. And then they're going to say, oh, okay, you got all the headaches out of the way. Now we can just follow your roadmap. And that just makes me so happy. I've been looking for this map everywhere else. I was like, dang it.
So don't mess it up.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No.
I'm sure you guys will be great. How about Fort Wayne? Are they gonna remain their own entity?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, honestly, the Fort Wayne's going to do their thing, and Allen County's going to do ours. Now, I will sit here and openly say we can't be blind to think that there's not opportunities in the future that we could jointly work together on some of that stuff. Fort Wayne is a good neighboring partner for East Central. Have been able to work quite a few assistants with that. And it might be after I retire that actually fully goes into play with it. But I think the things we have to start looking at is how we integrate automatic aid. I think that's our first step, right? If we can get automatic aid probably between now and the next 10 years, so there's kind of quote unquote blurred lines. Wherever the closest truck is, that's who goes, and we take care of it, because Mr. and Mrs. Smith don't care what the fire truck looks like. They don't care who's getting a paycheck or if they're even getting a paycheck. They call 911, they want help. If Officer Parker showed up, Chief Parker showed up on a domestic wearing that uniform, but in the city of Fort Wayne, they don't care. They had a police officer there. They don't care where he came from. They needed help, so we shouldn't be any different than that in the fire service also. So It's just things that we look at and we gotta try to work on that, but, with all respect, Mayor, with politics being politics, we have to walk that fine line and make sure that we're not overstepping anything. And it's a delicate dance, but I think we're gonna get there someday. But right now, we just need to focus on Allen County, make sure Allen County is as strong as we can possibly get it to be, and then work off of that, so.
I'm happy to see Monroeville and Hoagland are coming to the table.
Yeah, it's, there was a lot of.
Thing for you guys here, cause I mean, that, at the end of the day, they opted out last time and then
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're really allowed to suck off our resources.
Yeah.
That's the.
So openly, that has been a burden on East Central. Is some of the,
I remember.
it's still there, because they're trying to do the best that they can with what they've got there. But luckily, we're starting to help talk to them a little bit more. They're starting to see it. We're being very transparent with them, getting them at the table. I think one of our biggest naysayers at our last meeting was Monroeville EMS. But we need to figure out how to get them involved and have a seat at the table and be a part of it at all. So, like I said, we got guys over there talking with their firefighters right now, just talking about this kind of same thing here, just going in depth a little bit more. But yeah, it's been kind of exciting because we thought maybe they weren't ever going to be a part of it, and now they really want to jump on board and figure it out. And Brian Minnick, the trustee with Madison Township, he has been a driving force like no other, and he's just a very great person. And he's definitely helping drive that in the far southeast area, so it's been a huge help.
He's been on their department, I think, 25, 30 years as a volunteer, and now he's their trustee, so he definitely gets it and understands and wants to see what's best for the future.
Any other questions?
Come on, I can't be the only one asking questions. No, it's
You can give me a little more of a history lesson. I don't know a lot about this stuff, but you mentioned Monroe and Hoagland not being involved in the past. Now they're kind of more open to it, but you still got a naysayer with the EMS. What are they naysaying? Why do they not want to be involved?
50 years of pride of running an EMS service, and they don't want to give it up. And it's not necessarily giving it up, it's just we're trying to help assist them, essentially. One big thing in the fire service that steps in the way of progress is pride. A lot of firefighters get very proud about what we have and what we've done and where we've gone. And there's two things that you should know about firefighters is we hate change and we hate the way things are. We'll always complain about it. But the reality is like when you have worked in a community for 50 years, and some of the people that were at the meeting that are kind of, naysayer is probably a horrible word to say, and I apologize for using that phrase, but when they are just not 100% on board with it is because they have given so much of their lives. I spoke with one individual last week or the week before that has been on their department for almost 38, 39 years, I think, somewhere there. And all of a sudden to say, hey, it's not getting the truck out the door. We need to kind of help get somebody in here to help you out. They take it personal. It's not personal, it's just called life gets in the way. So it's trying to mend that bridge, try to show that we're not here to take over by any means. It's just trying to supplement what they have and try to make it stronger. There's been individuals through these processes that will say, well, we're gonna make things better in Allen County. Well, if you ask a volunteer firefighter, it can't get better than what they're giving because they're giving everything they've got, but we can make it stronger. So, and that's the approach I look at it is we're not trying to make it better, we're just trying to make it stronger than what it is right now because there's times when they're at work and they can't leave their job to get the truck out the door, and that's where we can step in, we being, paid staff can come in and help with that. So, a little bit of a history on that one, and Chief Linker, you might be able to help me out on this one a little bit, Mayor, I'm sure you probably can as well. When East Central first formed up to be able to do it, everything's based off of our net assessed value, I'm sure you understand. And, to include Monroeville and Hoagland into the whole idea, specifically Monroeville into the whole East Central idea, the net assessed value just wasn't there. So that meant the taxes were going to be significantly higher than what a lot of people wanted to go to be able to provide the services that we wanted to see in those areas. Now that we have been able to open up an idea to go county-wide, there's more net assessed value. So I don't know what the net assessed value of Monroeville is right now. Probably 400 million maybe. I don't know. I don't know what number to throw out that. But in Northwest alone, we're sitting on $4.2 billion of net assessed value. And it's honestly can help benefit a lot. And it's not a popular thing to say because people will say, well, my tax dollars are going to the southeast side of Allen County, but and I live up northwest. But their tax dollars are already going that way when we take our fire trucks over there to go help respond to calls because they need help. So either physically or metaphorically, it's happening one way or the other. So now that we're able to get all the money of the net assessed value into one pot, it divides that pie up a whole lot more, so that chunk that everyone has to take out of that pie is significantly smaller. So we can make taxes go a little bit lower than where they could have been if people were trying to do it on their own. If Monroeville and Hoagland wanted to do something solely on themselves, their tax rate would be close to 80, maybe even 90 cents on every $100 of net assessed value. It's just because there's no net assessed value out there. And the other thing is the farmers are going to be impacted too. They're the 2%ers of everything. So they're paying more in taxes because of just quote unquote empty land, but it's very important to them. But when that farmer's wife has a heart attack and calls 911, they expect an ambulance right there right away. So we got to figure out how to get that done. So this is one of the ways that we as the chiefs looked into it and says, hey, here's an opportunity for us to all share in on this investment into our communities, and it's the best option that we've seen so far for us. So, and to be the most fiscally sound that we can for the people, because that's our biggest thing. Because I hold a very strong opinion that if I'm going to go to a council or the commissioners or mayors of these communities and say, hey, we want to mess with the tax rate because we want to provide the service, well, the mayor should be able to say, well, go talk to Chief Bourne because he came to me, and so he better have a plan on how we're going to do this, and it's supporting one another. So you as a board member, I come to you, give you the information, so when a constituent comes to you and says, well, what the heck's going on? And you're like, well, hold on, I just had a meeting with somebody and they explained all of this. So I should be giving you the information to go out there and help sell that as much as I'm there to back you up on that. So hopefully that's part of the reasons why I'm going out to the communities and trying to talk with people, because I don't want people to feel like they're sitting out there alone, because we're all in this together. The number one thing in government is public safety, and that's just what we're trying to achieve. So good question, though. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You said the board, so you said if they took people from the representative of all these different districts and put them on a board, it'd be 40-something people.
It could be up to 35 to 40, yeah.
Okay, and then you guys are trying to shrink it down to a 9-person board, and who elects or who appoints those board members?
In district law, it's the county commissioners that appoint that. So essentially, it would be communities going to the commissioners and saying, we'd like for this person to sit on the board for us and that. And we've been working close enough with the commissioners, and I think Commissioner Beck would laugh at me and just shake his head yes when I say this. They really don't have a lot of time to try to go out and figure out who to get. So when communities come to them and say, hey, we've got a great representative, if someone said, hey, we want so-and-so to be here because they represent the farmers of this community and this close-knit community, the Board of Commissioners like, let's sit them down, let's make sure they're a good fit, and let's get them in here because, they want the feedback from the community to fill those positions. So when we formed up our districts, currently the 4 fire districts there, that's the approach that they took on that, is a lot of community people stepped up and said, I wanted to be a part of that. And for a couple of the areas, they actually had a few interviews to figure out who was the right person for it, and they got them in there, so.
Robert, and with the board members, don't they have to have a little bit of a background?
Yeah, so district law also dictates that they have to have some kind of, specifically, they need to have knowledge or experience in public safety of some form or fashion. So when we talk about that, it needs to be an individual who understands the fire service, EMS service, or the police service, that understands the diversities of public safety and how that interacts with the taxing entity. So it can't just be somebody who's like, I just want to be on the board. It's got to be someone who actually understands the principles of that and can work through that. So.
Gotcha.
The new Senate bill supposedly was gonna cut some of the fire department trucks and stuff, and is that gonna, how are you guys working?
Senate Enrolled Act 1, yes, yeah. It was, that is a whopper of a bill that got passed. It did not dip into cutting fire equipment. That was some verbiage that was put in there, but that's not specifically what it went to.
Okay.
Where the biggest impact in that is that it does not drive up net assessed value rates as quickly as what they were previously. So people's property taxes are not gonna go up as fast. and you're gonna see a relief on the back end when you do actually your taxes. You'll get a tax credit differently now. The other thing that it did is it also changed how lit is done and redistributed across everywhere. So essentially it's putting the responsibility of lit shares in the hands of the councils, specifically the county council and then also city councils, to establish that for their area on a certain basis. So it's forcing councils to work closer together throughout the communities. So the biggest example I give, because it's the two that probably are like oil and water, it would be the city of Fort Wayne and Allen County. Those councils have to work closer together to figure out how the redistribution of the lit shares are done. So, and I'm sure that's probably something that you guys are all facing that as well. And it's making communities become more creative on how that's done. We kept that in mind as we were going through and building our budget. We built a budget up until 2033 with increasing staffing. And the two things that we did along while we were creating that budget is that we did not inflate any kind of net assessed values, anything higher than 1.5%. In fact, we actually plateaued out after 2027 at 1.5%. And we utilized Nick Jordan for that, who was just a whiz with those numbers, and says, hey, don't look at net assessed values growing more than 1.5%. Historically, they have grown more than that throughout all of Allen County. And the trends still show, even with Senate Enroll Act 1 being in place, that we're still going to see higher than 1.5%, but we did worst case scenarios. On the flip side of that, the worst case scenario we did with lit shares is that we kept it the same as where it is right now. So if everything gets redistributed as if it was now, we kept that amount the same, so we didn't see a benefit from that. Even though hindsight on that, we could see actually a little bit more of a benefit from that and a tax relief on property, but as anyone knows with lit shares, it's just going from one pocket to the other pocket with the people that live in the area. So we don't hang our hat on that by any means, but what we do is we make sure that we have an understanding of what the taxing entities are going through. So some of us have started going to school board meetings, which has been quite interesting to understand how the school boards do that. And I'm in the Northwest Allen County, so I have Northwest Allen County schools, and with the referendum that went through, had to learn how that was going to impact our taxpayers and everything. And it made me forget why I got into the fire service. So, I was like, oh, well, I did not got into the fire service for taxes, but it's just the things that we have to be cognitive of as we're going through there. Something else that we had to put into consideration here as we built our big plan for our budget was the tax cap that potentially that legislators could put on fire districts. Right now, fire territories are capped at 40 cents. Any new territories that are formed, I should say, can only go as high as 40 cents, and they can't go any higher than that. We feel that may be coming down the pipeline for fire districts as well. So as we projected out our budget, even at max staffing, at everything that we aimed high for, we still can have a max tax rate of potentially from 10 years from now at 39 cents being the highest. And that's utilizing every asset that we could in there with EMS revenue and whatnot. So we still wanted to try to stay underneath that 40 cents, but still maximize the staffing. And that's still, to give an idea of that staffing level, that would, for the station down here, that would be 4 people on the engine and 2 people on the ambulance. So there'd be 6 people in that engine house at all times. And then upping the staffing in some of the higher call volume areas, kind of like how we were talking before. So I'll use New Haven as an example. Base 10 there on Hartsville Road, one of the busiest houses right there. Not only would it staff an engine and staff 2 ambulances, so now we have 8, we'd probably throw an additional 4 people in that station to staff the ladder truck as well, because the call volume is so high and the risk for industrial stuff around there. Along with that ladder truck would be the response out here for Goodrich, so we need to make sure that we're addressing that, and that's always staff. So when I say we've done a lot of details into that and looked at how Senate Enrolled Act 1 has affected everything, we've really dug deep into the weeds on that to make sure that we're trying to hit all of the marks possible on that. So it's been a lot.
Good.
If I'm talking too much, you need to nudge me. Sometimes
That's why you're here, bro.
Sometimes I say too much. I apologize.
You have a gift.
You've probably explained more about SEA 1 than I've ever heard anybody explain.
But I think what you just said there at the end is very important for this community. When you look at your neighbors to the south, your neighbors to the west, and your neighbors to the north, potentially all getting more manpower, that's a good thing for this community. So.
Yeah, it's definitely, and there's still room within it to grow. So if, I said this, I don't know how many years ago I made mention, but you know, I live in Huntertown and that area is just booming, right? And I said, well, eventually people are gonna say, well, it's too full, I'm gonna go find somewhere else. And I think it was about that time that someone goes, well, hey, there's a new subdivision going in here and there's a new one going over here. And I think someone brought that up and said that, oh, there's one going in Woodburn. It's places that people are like, oh, I thought we were taxed out on what we had. And all of a sudden people are moving here, right? People wanna be in Allen County and they're looking for anywhere to go. So it's just a matter of time when areas start to populate up. So we have to be cognizant of that.
You said Monroeville, what was their net assessed value?
I don't know, I threw out a random number. Did you look it up?
I'm getting that information, it's 111 million.
Oh, okay.
111 million.
I
So
was-
you have one community that's got 111 million net assessed value that's essentially gonna be putting up the same amount of money, right, as someone that has a $4 billion net assessed value.
When you say putting up the same amount of money,
You can have the same
tax rate?
rate as in one community that's worth $4 billion and one that's worth $111 million. That's correct?
Because we're already feeling the effects of our resources going out other places. But then when we are depending on other communities to come backfill us when we're out on a call, it's not there. So if we help strengthen our neighbors, therefore we are strengthening ourselves when we do that.
Well, you guys have $4 billion worth of net assessed value versus one that's worth 111 million. It seems like you guys would have more resources.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So if you're so of course a place that, you know, your neighbor that's worth $4 billion and you that's worth 111 million, and it comes time to eat, and you're going, well, we're giving them food and they're not giving us anything back. It's like, well, yeah, you're worth 4 billion, they're worth 111 million. Of course they're not putting up as much, right?
Well, in his case, he's gonna have,
Yes or no?
he may have 19 people working a day, and that station down there is only gonna have 6.
that's a lot of truth as well. Yeah. Your statement's not incorrect, but when we're talking about public safety and the responses that communities are needing, it's not about food. It's about someone's life. It's about someone's property.
Well, I was just giving an example. I'm not saying for food. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, for me, it's hard to look at that example and analyze it in that manner. I look at it as that we are good up Northwest, but we could also help other people out. And when my family, who lives in Monroeville, doesn't get an ambulance because they can't get one out the door, that does affect me. If I got in an accident between here and Huntertown, I'm expecting a department to respond. But if East Central's out on a structure fire,
I'm not arguing either way. I was just trying to understand
sure.
if that's how it's split up.
Now, it's definitely I mean, if you take the top 10 areas of the county, they're going to be helping the top 10 lowest of the county. But, you know, some of that stuff already happens. I mean, you know, a lot of times when we were at some of these meetings, people would talk about, you know, the folks from Leo didn't want to be, you know, paying for when Heritage High School was doing stuff, you know, down in Heritage High School. But now, you know, there's people right now that live in Monroeville that are paying for a school to be rebuilt and remodeled up in Leo. And that's
School networks are a good way to look at that,
yeah, I mean, that's,
especially East Central,
we
I think is
already,
the largest.
there's really, when you look at the county, there's only, 3 school systems?
Yeah, Southwest, Northwest, and East Allen.
So some of that's already taken place.
Yeah. City of.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
No,
Yeah,
thank you very
appreciate
much.
that.
Appreciate the questions.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
let me-
we all know a little bit more now.
That's the whole, the benefit.
I thought I had a whole mess of cards with me. I do. You guys are in luck. And it's even the right email address. Holy cow. You already got one? Now, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Be glad to come and talk.
Thank you very much.
I stuck you all the way down at the end. That's kind of rude.
Numerical order. I guess I'm curious, is there anything you need of us right now to be doing?
I need to know when you have questions that you can't answer so I can help you, to be honest.
Okay.
I would rather help you answer questions than blindly try to answer a question and not get the right information out to people.
Okay.
So if you ever have an opportunity, you have a question, I know Chief Call and Chief Linker here got me on speed dial. I think they call me too much. But I'd be more than happy to come and answer any questions or sit down with anybody, community group interests, whatnot, that just want to have a conversation. I know we're going to have a conversation here pretty soon with the Farm Bureau group, to talk with some local farmers on that too, to answer some questions on that one. So that's the number one thing right now. So.
There is 3 meetings coming up.
Oh yes, yeah. The first meeting, we spaced them out. They're following each week. So the first one is February 23rd at the Coliseum at 10 a.m. The second one is March 2nd. Is that the next Monday? I have to look at my calendar now.
I think you're pretty close.
You think I'd have this memorized now? Yeah, the first meeting is Monday the 23rd at 10 a.m. at the Coliseum in the Johnny Appleseed Room. The second one is March 2nd at 1 p.m. And the third one is March 9th at 6 p.m. All of them are at the Coliseum. They're all in the Johnny Appleseed Room. And it's all just to talk about kind of this whole process that we're talking about tonight. And essentially the whole idea of what the territory kind of all melting together and then how that would all get flowed into a fire district. So, yeah.
I imagine Chief will probably be reaching out by email, giving us all those dates.
Oh
Chief
yeah,
Call.
yeah. Actually just had a meeting with him today, so we were talking about that. So,
Fantastic.
okay.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna head back north. Oh, sorry. Thanks.
See you.
Have a great night. Stay safe.
Thank you.
I thought they sent out those dates. I swear I just saw those dates
They
somewhere.
did. Well, the chief, they sent out some preliminary dates,
Okay.
and the chief emailed me about dates that he's gonna actually advertise, so. As soon as they,
I couldn't remember where I seen it.
they did send dates before though, and one of them's already passed.
What do you think? What do you guys think about that? What do you think about that? You were there forever. Joe?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh. I think it's where we're all headed. I mean, I went through the process with, like he said, with the territory and the idea of tax rates. There was a lot of people that were upset that New Haven's came down a little bit and Woodburn's went up, you know. But it was all to get everybody on the same rate because it was equal coverage. Places like Monroeville and Hoagland had been resistant because, like he said, the high tax rate, but yet East Central was constantly having to do mutual aid out there without getting any. They wanted to bill them as a contractor to help them, but I don't think that ever came through. So hey, I think it'd be a good thing to help cover some of the rural counties or the rural areas of the county in the area. Yeah.
So what do you think of it? No comment, huh?
No comment.
It's getting more and more difficult, especially with, I think probably just before I ran for mayor, a ladder truck was like $500,000. Now a ladder truck's like $3 million, you know. Small communities like ours just can't afford that stuff anymore. So, anybody else? Boy, it's quiet here. Alright, do you have anything else, Kevin? That you needed to present?
I don't think so.
John,
Nope, I'm good.
Terry,
Any update on the violations bureau thing?
it's a good question.
I do have updates after that. Oh, about that specifically? No, I have no. I have not talked to Kevin about that. I think it was between you and Kevin and Brad and Kevin. So I haven't been in on that one.
Since we sent Kevin all that stuff, I haven't heard anything, so.
He's out this week, I think, isn't he?
Yeah.
He was out last week.
Oh, last
That's what I'm sorry. I do have an update about something too. I'm sorry. After this, he was out last week. Yeah. I have an update about the Lakeland stuff. I got that over to him on last Monday. Emailed me back, told me he wasn't going to be in town. He asked for their deliverables. Lakeland had sent a bunch of emails with the product for the fiber study, but it was kind of all scattered. So I asked Josh, who came in here, to kind of put it all together into something that Kevin could actually review and look at. I just talked to Kevin again today, and he's gonna look at that and see. He said that he is not going to give us a yep, 100% on board, thumbs up, do it, and sign it and pay him answer. That he's gonna look at the original contract, and he's gonna look at the fiber study that they delivered and see how much stuff matches up. And the rest will be up to you guys about a gut feeling of here's some stuff that they did and some stuff that may have been not included, and that's going to be a gut feeling on you guys. So he's going to get me an answer of what he believes on that one, and he'll have that before the next meeting. As far as the service agreement with them, he said he thinks, or I told him that I believe that the city would benefit from that, of Lakeland providing service to us, and there was some stuff that he had to change in there that he would review and make sure everything was good legally, and that he would also get us an answer of both of those before next meeting. So, yep.
Well, y'all have fun with that.
But I have not talked to him anything about the violations.
That's right, that's in his hands too. Huh?
Yeah.
He's coming up with some fine levels, I think.
I like Kevin a lot. I know the city's been working with him for a while. I have no problem. Once things come through on his end, everything seems fantastic. The pacing with him seems very slow. So I don't know. The city's been working with him for a long time. Maybe light a little fire. Maybe we look into somebody else. If not for, just some of this stuff that needs checks. Some of these things that need checks. Maybe not full on investigation things that we need. But maybe a little competition wouldn't be bad for him to get things moving for him. So I know there's a lot of stuff that I would like answers for pretty quickly, and things that I'd like an answer back faster and make sure and get a faster response out of something. So that's something that I'm considering looking into, of maybe hiring somebody else, maybe completely, or just for things that are more minor. So I know at the end, even these like ordinances that were presented here, like he did this one, but I know that Tim was doing the previous clerk treasurer. He was making these ordinances up at the end using old ones, then he would make it up himself, and then he would have Kevin double check it. So maybe, and that's something else that I could maybe look into doing too, is do that and then have Kevin double check them instead of relying completely on him in that sense. So just gonna put that out there.
If you do check around, they do give us municipalities a heavy discount, so make sure we're checking around that they
Yeah.
give municipalities a discount.
Yeah. So what I'd probably start with is maybe calling a few other communities and seeing who they use,
Mhm.
and then checking with them and kind of see see what that looks like. Cause I think, I mean, just being an attorney, there's obviously different types, and it seems like Kevin is pretty well versed on the, municipality type of law, so. Yeah, but I just wanna let everybody know that there might be another name in the hat.
Alright, anything else, Terry?
I'm fine.
Dean? Nope. Skylar?
Nothing from me.
Alright, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?